We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Now, what am I supposed to tell the press?
Training exercise. Isn't that the usual BS?
It's not that simple. An unfortunate training exercise
are part of the U.S. Army training exercise involving aircraft and weapon simulations in urban settings.
Greetings, citizens. The so-called drills in LA were not a training exercise. The training exercise has been an overused excuse since 9/11. The official story is bullshit.
Special Operation Forces in full swing over the skies of Los Angeles. Our cameras were there when a Black Hawk helicopter and 4 OH-6s, or Little Birds, flew over the city. Take a look. This is the U.S. Bank building where they hovered for a while before flying to their next target.
1 o'clock, very low.
At one point, they made what appeared to be a drop-off at a park. Within seconds of landing, the helicopter was back in the air.
Oh, this is full push.
MSM local LA Times was also complicit in covering up what we have evidence of being quite otherwise.
Since when does the military drop by unannounced, good point, in the middle of downtown LA, land helicopters in the street while civilians are around, forcibly break and enter into a privately owned building, and then fly away, taking things with them?
So the fact that they're using the most trafficked, one of the most air traffic populated areas in the United States, the fact that they did it, started the drills at night, the fact that people were only made aware 24 to 48 hours prior to this incident, and the fact that they could be doing this in multiple other areas in different situations or in different locales makes me quite suspicious.
Since you won't get a real story if at all for another 50 to 100 years if at all, we thought we'd fill you in. Let's put Anon crowdsourcing power to work. We see little birds, killer eggs, also known to MH6s, in standard operating procedure by the 160th SOAR, which is basically the Army's most elite helicopter special ops. Black Hawks only need 75 feet by 75 feet to land. Safe landing zone is 100 by 100 for normal operations. A little bird is smaller and incredibly maneuverable in space, is considered tight compared to other helicopter airframes. They're extremely fast and very maneuverable, and also completely kitted the fuck out when fully armed with 2 miniguns, 2 rocket pods, 2 Hellfire anti-tank missiles, and 2 Stinger anti-air missiles. When you need to land a team on the smallest possible piece of ground and fuck up anything in your way, you use the killer eggs. And you need your best to fly with urban clearances of 11 inches. 160th pilots are the best in the world, full stop. There is also a modified UH-60 similar to a Black Hawk. release of a special ops group on US soil in one of the largest cities gets the old wheels turning. Bringing helos into an undefended, non-alert city is the stupidest way in the world of conducting actual training. With the preface, this is distracting us from the Venezuelan war. Let's get into what actually is a very interesting special op. To fly these helicopters, traffic was stopped by military, which is only done in a national emergency. The local police were not notified as members carry the symbols of child traffickers. They also wanted no murmur of activities planned, which is SOAR for DOJ, seizure for evidence preservation. In fact, the lapped police scanner for the time was jammed and excused as deleted since no record exists. The Guatemala Cultural Center and the building next to it were hit. All the noise had them focusing on the sky and not buildings, where the operators all came pouring out, but the Black Hawk hovered over the Guatemala Cultural Center. The explosions gained points of entry.
Large helicopters just fly by, and then we heard this like loud like boom, 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 boom. A couple times. He kind of got a little bit of footage of like what it was. So it looks like military helicopter. So we're gonna go outside and see if we can see the thing. It was so loud. Like I've never heard anything that loud. If it's raining, you can't. So there's a cop car over there. There's a cop car right there. But I don't see anybody, any military people. But I know it was a military helicopter. It was multiple scare.
Nope, okay. And other key areas as shell companies owned by Girardi tied into the California false flag fires through PG&E and abducting children through the ironically named Save the Children. Girardi would likely have dirt on the whole organization on his office server. Onksvin picked up in the raid. Being a psychopath and having a complete lack of empathy and amorality are beneficial traits in high levels of business and politics. Such high-value targets explain the near 40 special operators deployed. Along with explosions you would not set off in urban environments, shots were fired, causing this car to leak radiator fluid. The leaking white car at the intersection on the approach side of the LZ. The car is in an odd spot, for it was shot up to the point of not running. The surrounding shell companies raided carry also the child trafficking symbol. Supported by political contributions to edge global around trafficking tunnels that feed into the Red Line subway. As it was built to feeding into a Native American tunnel system seized by the government after the defeat of Apache hero Geronimo. The Skull and Bones considers the tunnels along with Pirate allowed through a war accord with Andrew Jackson so essential they keep Geronimo's skull to this day. The 160th went to two sides of this underground tunnel network with surface points 27 miles apart, which has actually been under surveillance according to flight paths. So 16 soldiers pour out of building on to kill eggs and get the fuck out. 19 soldiers pour out of same building in two spurts, onto two different Black Hawks with three different HVT objects and get the fuck out. To retrieve 3 HVTs or high-value targets between 50 to 100 pounds. HVT objects 1, 2 and 3 don't look identical, but they do all look to be smaller than a human adult, and mostly rectilinear in shape, and brightly colored, high-albedo material that looked white by streetlights on camera at night. We have identified a Gyades server, workstation and a bomb capable of poisoning the water of 20 million people. The car fentanyl making the bomb, which could otherwise explode, came in via the Long Beach port. The Chinese counterintelligence controlled this port. The car fentanyl bomb was purchased by a drug cartel to levy for the release of El Chapo. Deep state actors wanted the bomb to be released, then contained and blamed on Venezuela. Car fentanyl is so lethal that 2 men could carry enough to kill everyone in Los Angeles.
It doesn't look like they're carrying a body, or because it's too see that? They're carrying something out of there. And people said it looks like they have hazmat suits on too. I'll try to zoom in a little more. The more you zoom in, the blurrier it gets, but these guys look like they have hazmat suits on for sure.
The explosion there, if no water deploy, would allow Pac-10 partners' plans of an 140-unit condo in Westlake to go up in the rebuild. This is the second time that white hats working in the Trump administration have foiled deep state false flags. The white hats surveilling the criminal smuggling tipped their hand with special forces, which they would not have done so obviously unless the server they were grabbing has the type of human trafficking information to take down the network. Of course, there was also the bomb, which in order of sequence comes in the last year of nuclear football. Kickoff, Hawaii missile attack. First down, Vegas incident, shooting to cover up prep work and plant for the CRBN device. This white hat special force insurgence was closely preceded by the foiling of the Vegas plot after a false conclusion of no clue was publicly given by the intelligence community.
U.S. Special Forces descend on Los Angeles after a CIA pilot linked to the Las Vegas massacre was blown out of the sky. A mainly redacted, of special importance, highly classified, new Foreign Intelligence Service (SVR) report circulating in the Kremlin today confirming the Ministry of Defense assessment that elite U.S. Special Forces have begun high-profile arrest operations in Los Angeles, California. Notes that this urban combat operation was begun within hours after a known CIA deep-cover pilot going by the name of Antonio Pastini was blown out of the sky, whose true name is Jordan Isaacson, and whom SVR intelligence analysts had previously identified as being one of the CIA pilots who flew stolen Israeli weapons and ammunition to Nevada, where they ended up in the possession of CIA arms pilot Stephen Paddock, who is reported to have single-handedly carried out the worst massacre in American history on October the 1st, 2017.
Why was this done by assassination? This was followed by the P-8 helicopters and raids. These were taken out of a Wells Fargo, helping ATF gun trafficking to Mexico and receiving human trafficking and drugs for black budget ops in return, despite having been repeatedly caught in these operations since the 80s. The senior VPs of Wells Fargo LA, who are both connected to Hollywood Dosh, Patrick Drum specifically is the City of LA head of entertainment finance banks, make perfect allies in crime, known to also have connecting bank tunnel system. The workstation containing the pedophile connections was taken from Patrick Drum. Trade deals let corporations overrule government, and that holds true for any large capital generating operation.
And they put a thing in the trade agreements which is called the dispute settlement mechanism, and it actually works this way: that if any government, like a provincial government in Canada or a state government in the United States, does something that affects the profits or potential profits of a foreign company, they can sue the government of Canada for lost profits or even lost potential profits. Can you believe? They have more rights in Canada than Canadian citizens, and of course it works the same way with the United States.
Wells Fargo is clearly what funds the child trafficking in our country, and someone spilled the beans to the wrong alphabet agency member who actually cares. These tunnels are now guarded by white hats, leading to a cascade of recent seizures.
Border Patrol in Arizona calls this the biggest fentanyl bust ever. Nearly 254 pounds of the deadly synthetic opioid, worth an estimated $3.5 million.
These tunnels serve as an additional smokescreen to Black Ops Project tunnels east of the drug, gun and human smuggling tunnels in California.
Much of the physical engineering was transferred to underground facilities in Nevada and Arizona. Meanwhile, much of the control was transferred to civilian agencies in order to create plausible deniability.
On the other side of the tunnels, at Long Beach, are complementary drug and human trafficking by Israel and Chinese counterintelligence support sold to China by Dianne Feinstein and finalized in 2018. The deportation center at this Long Beach port is a key collection point for human trafficking as well. These areas were flanked by Department of Homeland Security the following day. Following actual training in these areas will follow, but this original insurgence is far from a LARP. We are not Jesus. Nor do we have Alzheimer's. Expect us.
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state!
And then I woke up here. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.